Hello there, Who here? I like to pretend that I don't enjoy gacha games, since they are often associated with gambling. But the thing is, some of those gacha games do have a compelling story or interesting gameplay that I don't think can be so easily ignored. One of those is Persona 5 P5X, P5X for short. A game that I played a bit before during launch and recently up to the middle of the third palace. I did not want to add another gacha in my life, so I decided to only use the main party. And I noticed that I was still pulling for copies of said characters, which kinda went against the spirit of the challenge, so I decided to scrap the idea and try again. This time trying to see how far I could go while removing as much of the gacha from the gacha game. What does this mean, person that I never heard about, you ask? Let me explain to you, you sweet little gambling addict that click on the gacha game video. For P5X, it means no gambling, no pulling, that's a given, no math in shop besides the skin. I hear like the summer outfit, no battle pass, no goals, no events. There was a joke about Miku here, but the event is over for a while now. No plans, no in-game mail, no seasonal content like Trial from the Sea of Souls or Astrolab, no exchange shop, no tasks, no matter of desire, and no achievement and tutorial rewards. So, all of those little icons saying new are there just to piss me off and clutter my interface like the game needs any help doing so. Okay, so what's left for me to do? The story of the game, palaces, velvet trials, side quests, and that's pretty much it. The main goal here is finishing the main story, everything else is an extra. There are still two things worth mentioning, stamina and action points. These are a bit more complicated. Both are resources generated over time that is used for grinding the contents of the game, which is a staple of what constitutes a gacha game. However, removing those will simply be too detrimental for the experience. Action points are spent doing the slice of life part of the Persona game. Removing it means removing the persona from the Shin Megami Tensei Persona. I enjoy Persona games, I want to know those stories, so I kinda want to keep it. Thank you very much. Stamina is used on the Helm of Repression content, the main way of getting any resource in the game. Not using stamina means that said resources are going to be very limited, being acquired from chests and cheap amounts from roaming enemies. The main issue here is that it's also the main way of leveling the protagonist, since the game do have level checks, not only in the form of enemies of way higher level, but also as actual main story quests, which is a problem. However, I wanted to know how far we could go while limiting those resources, which I don't think is very far, but hey, it sounds fun. Lastly, I'll try my best to track deaths, retreats and current level, which I'll try to cap according to the stage of the game, giving priority to the mission level cap followed by whatever is the recommended level of the final fight of that section.
この物語だがこの光景を見ているお前は確かに見たぞこの同意を得られなかった側に待っていろ愛に
Finally starting the game, I somehow just realized that Lufo is the person speaking on the first screen. Complete the tutorial with John Persona 5 before seeing the protagonist finally waking up from his dream and listening to his teacher, who asks him to note down his name just in case he forgets it in the future. So he decides to call himself No Gambling, symbolizing his desire to live a gambling-free life. Moving on with school, Gambling watched a girl doing a leap of faith after playing too much Assassin's Creed, and noticing no one cared about it. He decided to move on with his life, getting into the train and meeting a colorful owl, only to see a person with a bike just barge into the train and going straight at him before misclicking the meta icon. I always found this scene really funny. Piloting a bike inside of a train must take some crazy skill. Waking up in an unknown world, Gambling finds out that the owl turns into a penguin. Gambling stands beaten up by random shadows, causing him severe psychological trauma and allowing him to listen to voices inside of his head, and just before fainting, this happens.
見えてないってことともともと備わっていないこととは別物だ
今のお前は本来のお前ではないとしたら
あなたも 自分で声をかける選択を忘れない方がいいと思うわよ。
お前には取られているものがある。それは本来お前のためだけにあったも
無欲は時に君が君自身を放棄することにもなりうる。
自己を偽り忘却し己が意志を捨て続ける。今のお前は自身がどう見えている？どうする？ここで物語の結末を迎えるというのなら、それもまたお前の選択。今一度お前に問おう。取られた側のまま未来すら手放し命をも捨てる。その選択で良いのだな。そうだ、その選択を聞きたかったのだ。
お前。
己の意志で無欲と決別してみせてくれ。選択したのであればつかめるはずだ。恐れるな。誰に何を言われようと見えているなら掴み取ればいい。
まさか。
よもや今日という日を迎えられようとはな。
Unlocking China Sega, we complete the tutorial combat, escape the metaverse, and ignore Muffin. Going back to the real world, we get a little bit more control of the character. We ignore the first daily Hootney loot and check out the many things I won't be using. Going back home after a long day of skipping cutscenes, we meet
ベルベットルームと呼んでくれたまえ。
who calls gambling the potential man. Waking up, we are greeted by Luffy, unlocking our first of many social links in this game. We skip school and meet Luffy in front of the train station, so we can explore the metaverse, sadly. He then tells us that he wants to be called Kato from now on, and calls the protagonist.
ワンダーにする。
Immediately, we are ambushed again by random shadows, and we are saved by John Persona 5. After watching this massive fight, Ego feels pity for us and decides to force a gambling contract with Wanda, forcing me to do a pool and get a character that I cannot use. Now we officially reach the part that the game assumes you have more than 2 people on your party. We watch Kato turn into a fan, try to remove Kotone from my party, but the game still forces her on the next turn. Thank you, tutorial. I noticed that the main party shows up here first on the list, and I think this is very interesting because usually as soon as start pulling, the order just gets completely messed up, so it's kinda interesting that they let the main party show up first despite not necessarily being the order that the characters came out. Here we level up Kato to level 10, and we continue to Kyochi's palace. Palaces in this game are big. We are going to be here for a while. For this visit, we find out that we need a hook to progress, so we go back home to make one and go to sleep. Waking up, we grab the bird, Gambling start to head to school. On the way there, we see a man getting possessed and push this random guy for no reason before tackling a teenager into the train tracks. I can only assume that there is no cameras in this place for him to be saying this. After telling Motoha we should not jump on the train tracks, we receive bad tips from the police and continue to go to school, where we see this guy on the roof, a teenager on the roof of a school with blue hair. He must be our protagonist. Wrapping up your school, we go buy some materials to make ourselves some lockpicks, and then we head back to Kyuchi's palace. First section is fine. The game expects me to have some more characters, so the damage is low, but since Kato can still heal any damage taken, I can take down any enemy on the way without any big issue, just taking a little longer. Advancing on the palace, Wanda unlocks the ability to train personas. We see a photo of Kyuchi with some random children getting jump scared by his chest and losing Motoha in the process. I guess the chest was way too distracting. Once we find her, she starts to hallucinate before becoming sick from little nightmares, unlocking us a new character to play.
思い出したように、全てはあなた自身が暗い海の底に放棄したもの。夢への後悔、輝く一心、離れた自由。だけど捨てたなら拾えばいい。奪われたなら取り返せばいい。さあ、新たな命の船出を飾りましょう。我は汝。汝は我。何に取れてるんだ。早く次の弾ぶっ放すんだよ。お前ら痛い子だ。俺の分まで侵入者どもをしごいてやれよ。いいな。
火打ちぶっ飛ばして智子の敵を撃つ。この力があればどっちもできる。加勢するぞ。行くよ、アルビルダ。ファイ！
With Motoha in the party, we have shock coverage, a much needed AoE, with the downside being that she is very squishy. Combining that with Luffy's abysmal healing, she struggles to stay alive. Leaving the palace, we unlock Helm of Repression. The quest forces us to clear 2 Battle Pass goals, so I have no choice, so I have to do this. Finally, we check our phone to see a message from Motoha, and we go back to sleep, finishing another long day of stealing. Waking up and skipping school, we meet Motoha at Shibuya, only for her to bring us to a weapon casino, forcing us another gambling section and winning her a weapon that I don't think is correct to use, so it's just going to sit there in the inventory. I level up my weapons to 10 and equip Luffy with a break tonfa. I also noticed here that the game clearly struggled with Motoha's chains. Leaving the casino, Luffy tells Gambling to go find a job, unlocking us the city life content.
お前のそのふぬけた精神を叩き直すためにもやはりバイトは欠かせんな。
Teaching us how to cook and even gardening. We all need a Luffy on our life to teach us those important skills that society does not teach us anymore. Skipping to the next day, the gang goes to Mementos, fought some shadows, Gambling starts into the Velvet Room, where Fusion and the Velvet Trials are unlocked. I did not notice this before, but there is a minimum character requirement for the Velvet Trials, so I can't do anything there. Back to Kyuchi Palace we go. Progressing the story, we reach the point I was afraid about, the level roadblock. We now need to be level 22 to progress the story. There are still plenty of content to farm Wonder experience, and so we start the grind. And oh boy, for just 2 levels, it was quite a lot of grind. To get ready for it, I put the party on level 20, upgraded Luffy's healing, expecting it to make a difference. It did not. I start to hunt down some treasure chests and big shadows in the palace. Now, I had not noticed at this point, but each floor in the palace has big shadows with similar mechanics. The first floor we tried, the training hall, always have an archangel that will occasionally dizzy a party member and other shadows accompanying it. The very first shadows I tried was level 26, recommended level 29. My current max level is 22. I was a bit afraid to level up Incubus, so I went with a level 1 Incubus, which in retrospect was a terrible idea. For this fight, the Archangel is accompanied by 2 normal angels, all weak to curse. The issue in this fight is that whenever Kato got dizzy, I was unable to heal the damage the party took. If the fight took long enough, the unhealed damage would stack and the party would start dying, which is exactly what happened on the first try. Deciding to not be a cheapskate anymore, I put everyone on level 22 and leveled Incubus to level 20. Then tried again, making sure to do all auto attacks whenever possible and focusing down the angels first since they heal, leading to a victory over the slightly stronger enemies. After some more chests, I reached another big shadow. This time the Archangel had Bereths to help him. These are weak to frost, something I did not have access at this point. They are also more tanky than the angels. My only way of dealing enough damage was downing enemies through critical strikes with my bare hands, which proved to be too slow, making me reach the action cap of 80 before forcing the party to retreat. In case you don't know, there is an 80 or 120 for bosses actions cap in this game. If you can't defeat the encounter on this amount of actions, the party is forced to retreat. I was not expecting this to happen so early, so I was really surprised when the party fled so close to winning. Deciding to do that fight later, I reached the next fight, the usual suspect with 2 Apsaras, who are weak to lighting. I was optimistic on this one. However, Closer is also weak to frost. With some header bad luck with targeting, they managed to defeat Closer pretty fast, but with some good luck with targeting, they also decided it was far more important to improve the critical strike chance instead of attacking, landing me the victory after 53 turns. The last big shadow on this floor was 2 Archangels. They managed to down Kato pretty early, but thankfully he was not really important for my damage. With Archangel being weak to both lighting and curse, they went down pretty smoothly with Notora and Incubus on my side. Not a problem whatsoever. Going back to the exhibition hall, we now fight Gambu, the Frost Turtle, who will start the fight with high defense and damage reduction that increase whenever it takes a no weakness damage and would decrease whenever his down count went down. This is much more simple than it sounds, by the way. The enemies on this floor were also level 19, so it was a lot easier to deal with them. The first Gambu to go down had a group of pixies with it, who are weak to gun. Janosiki and Closer made short work of them. The next fight was an Archangel and a Clotos with no fight mechanic. They gave me the password for one of the puzzles. The white light of this section was usually that singular Gambu that had a funny amount of health and took solidly 54 actions to whittle down his HP with Closer's Thunder and Wonder's Kinoko Sandwich. Defeating a shadow named Sato, which is probably a reference to something that I don't know. I collect the last missing chests I could at this point. Grabbing the Zenith Inferno dagger, which I hope I pronounced it correctly, and noticing that after all this work I am still halfway through level 20. Leaving the palace for now, Gambling spoke with the good boy Chichi, unlocking fishing, spoke with Marfin, unlocking the companion, and Thief's Den. Enjoying the moment, we also decided to stay in Mementos so we can commute some good old-fashioned drunk driving. Like the palace, Mementos is not very promising, but it was at least a lot quicker to go through. The big shadows here are a lot stronger than the ones in the palace, and after trying my luck with the Decarabia with recommended level 31 that almost one-shot a party member, I noticed quickly that they were a bit out of my league. And so we decided to focus on the chests. After unlocking every single bloody chest I could at this point, we barely reached level 21, and we faced our first boss of Mementos, which I clearly can't do anything about right now, so I decided to leave. Returning to the real world, I unlocked Schema, allowing me to buff no gambling based on the amount of Velvet Realm content I have done, especially the Persona Companion. The important decision here is that I picked 2 enhanced tactics to increase 1 more damage. With no more options to go, I finally decided to do side quests, which was a lot more efficient. Each side quest gave me like 2k experience. Yeah, I should have done this on the start. The first one involved is speaking with the extremely rich wannabe Hatsune Miku in an online game that threw stacks of cash at No Gambling's face, who barely understood that the name was Yui and its goal was to own all virtual land on the globe. Captivated by this level of greed, we unlock a new social link related to planting. On the second quest, No Gambling met a Chinese student named Yaoling Li, whom Gambling decided it was a good idea to show that he never ever bought groceries in his life. Feeling awkward, he tried to move away when she asked to be a friend, getting countered by the puppy dog eyes meta strat and unlocking us a food-related social link. The third mission involved watching a girl pick up trash, see a grown-ass man practice drunk karate in front of her, before No Gambling decided to step in to point and laugh at him. After a hearty laugh and getting distracted at how she said, she tells us she really likes her boy Chichi and Shibuya, which No Gambling have nothing else to do, decides to reinforce her delusions by telling her that he can help her, prompting her to telling her name, which is Huna Dogenzaka. Which, cut for a moment, Huli. Dogenzaka, this girl was born to be a dog girl. They did not need to go that far with the dog joke. Anyway, wrapping up this mission, we unlock a new social link related to discounts. Considering how fast the other missions went, I was hugely expecting this one to be just as fast. It did not. In this one, we speak with an attendant that told us to go into an adventure, solving puzzles to collect stamps. We see a group of kids with the smart one telling them the puzzle is wrong, and after confirming it ourselves, we go back to tell the attendant. The kids came first, but the lack of size had caused them to be ignored. We then learned that the portrait girl's name is Haruna and part our ways. Moving on, we find a group of kids with Haruna's mother, who let this complete stranger approach the kids without any worry. She does not grab any contact or anything. I would not let her take care of my children. After meeting them on the mall, we meet another one of Haruna's friends, who seemed to be troubled by how much smarter she is compared to anyone else, and having troubles dealing with that. His mother then asked the stranger, now trustworthy because Haruna's mother said so, to help him deal with whatever's happening to him. Thankfully, No Gambling is indeed a trustworthy individual for these people's luck, helping the kid deal with his trouble by making a plan with Haruna to rekindle the joy of puzzle solving on the boy, and reuniting the two friends, unlocking us a city life activity and latching us on needed level 22. Finally being able to continue, we go back to the palace and face the enemy that was blocking my way. A Barif with 2 Jack Frosts, with no extra mechanics. Being on the proper level, the fight went smoothly. Finishing the fight, I finally equipped the new dagger that I got a while— oh no, never mind, okay. We continued to explore, see new mechanics, had a bonding moment inside of the safe room, kicked some light switches and beat some random shadows, watched closer, really wanting to pry on this dude's personal life, and finding out that he heard an interview by being a complete drunkard. Instead of admitting it, he blames that on the woman he was hitting on, eventually leading him to become the menace by slamming a woman on the subway, which, now that I say it out loud, sounds like some comic book villain backstory really. We now reach the end of the palace and the location of the treasure. Kato finally started to question the morality of risking killing someone to overhaul this person's personality against his will so he fits better at society, giving me some time to think about it by asking me to reach level 30. This is outside of the script. I did not realize until very late during the second palace that I did got experience from the Battle Pass. So I could have just used the Battle Pass experience instead of spending stamina. However, I am not redoing 2 palaces worth of content, and I kinda wanna have fun on this one. Later on, if things pick up, I will care about doing this on a much harder way. With the new level cap, I upgraded my weapons until to level 30. Saved from Otohe's weapon and finally equipping the Stand of Inferno dagger. Getting confused and deciding to clean the quest log for a bit, I picked up the first mission where I was betrayed by Chi-Chi, who is not a good boy, as he tried to make us gamble. Feeling cheated, I gave up on the idea and went to deal with the leftover palace shadows for the last batch, equipping and forgetting to level up my Apsaras to deal with the frost weakness, making me retreat to level it up, which caused the fight to go smoothly in 15 actions. The club had 2 types of mechanics. One is a Yaxini, weak to nuke, who will occasionally, sometimes on the start of the fight, enrage someone or everyone and counter, get buffed if she gets hit. The second one involves Eligor, weak to lighting, who will summon Bariths to his side and will act in various manners according to the number of Bariths on the field. These fights could just be my experience, maybe I'm just dumped, maybe it's translation, but they often lacked information on them. I did not want to research stuff on the internet to make sure that I did not get solutions, so go with me over here. The first one I tried was in Yaxini with 2 Nekomatas. Here she enrages everyone, not just the party, every 2 actions. What the game did not tell us is that she enrages on the first action and then repeat every 2 actions, causing me to retreat in 1 cycle. I leveled up Genoseki to 25, hoping it would make a difference. It did not. Then I thought, maybe if I block they won't get angry? This also did not work. Demoralized, as the fight was only level 35, near 5 levels above me, I figured I should explore while thinking about the other options. Seeing more Yaxinis on the first floor of the club, I realized that this was the first layer of hell and it was not worth it to try, and figured out how to deal with them later. Moving on to the next floor, we fight an Eligor with 3 Bariths. Here, Eligor will simply force the Bariths to attack a single target while summoning a new Barith every action. It also mentions a Hoyo Mastery effect but does not really explain it. No matter, the smart use of downs and 1 more was enough to damage our Bariths to keep the damage at bay while slowly whittling down the Eligor. Right after killing Eligor, the last Barith decided to avenge him by knocking out Closer, but we still reach victory. On the next fight, Eligor will make 1 Barith deal and take more damage, doing heavy damage if there are more Bariths compared to the start. Using the same strategy as before seemed to work just fine. This time, Closer even held her ground. Eventually, I find another Yaxini and some Inugamis. Same gimmick, but this time the Inugamis could protect the party from it. Feeling optimistic, I leveled closest weapon to 30 and tried facing the group, managing to barely kill one of the Inugamis only to find out that angry or not, Yaxini still do a lot of damage, landing me another failure. This goes to show that naked purple women are much scarier than dudes in heavy armor and horses. On the next one I tried, Eligo now heal and give taunt for one targeted Barif, being immune to any damage and only taking specific amount of damage when a Barif is killed. Not realizing that I could steal AoE just fine because the targeting would not show up on top of the other enemies, I started using only single target attacks. The amount of enemies started to pile up to the point that the fight was not viable, failing yet again. Frustrated and noticing I had already reached 90% of the palace exploration, I decided to go to Mementos again to deal with the big shadows there, upgrading a pixie to have more shock damage. The gimmick of this fight is that they apply a stronger version of Wind Sweep and Freeze. I still don't know why, but when I kill the Fuki, the Suiki start to become weak to shock. Does not matter, this helped me kill it, so I am happy. I first focused on getting out the Mementos chests and tickets, as trying these fights will not be worth it. I also enjoyed to upgrade Kato's Tonfa and noticed that I was still using the blue weapon for closer. With only 2 side quests left, we started by talking to a girl named Minami. Watching a kid fall face flat in the ground as a distraction from the world around us, helping Minami with her struggles and earning some. Before moving on to another day. You know, people really just blindly trust children to strangers around here. Meeting Minami again, I noticed that the kids speak to gambling while the last one didn't even bother looking at his direction, or blink in fact. Something is really wrong with that kid. Anyway, gambling then helps Minami again and we meet her father. On the next scene, we see Minami helping the weird boy's mother with a paper cut. Later, she tells us she really wanted to be a nurse like her mother, which gambling immediately tells her father, as no gambling keeps no secrets, prompting her to leave and gambling spending some time with her father, who struggles with how to deal with the guilt of being the reason your daughter does not follow her dreams. Deciding to help the family, gambling meets Minami again and tell her that even if your desire to sacrifice yourself is pure and sound, no amount of respect from others or effort from your very self will ever fill up the gaping hole that is leaving the identity of your desire behind and giving up on what you wish to become. Which seems to somehow help her, leading to us meeting her father once again, seeing the family bond and Minami finally allowing herself to chase her dreams. Good for everyone. Only one mission left and it's about the best character in the game, Anderson, who wants nothing but to see massive arms attached to Gambling's body. Sadly, he receives a call from a woman and asks for moral support from Gambling. Twice, because he asked it twice. Once we find her, we find out that the scamming company scammed the scammer woman. She regrets what she did to him and we help her find a way to unscam Anderson, cancelling the contract, but causing Anderson to never see her again. It's okay, Anderson, she does not even have a unique portrait like you. You're so much better than her. Finishing this mission, we reached level 24. That's it. We can't go any further. There is only 2 things that could give us wonder experience right now, and that is not enough to advance to another level. From now on, we allow ourselves to grind using stamina as well as doing the city life content. I can finally play Persona and not just Shin Megami Tensei without the steroids. I won't be going too deep in what I did for grinding with stamina, just know that I did the side quest to unlock the Sea of Souls. I struggle to find a way of using personas to unlock new personas so I can do as much as I can of the companion without using repression medals. One thing that I found out while doing this is that some personas, especially the early ones, are really hard to get without repression medals. being only acquired from homing shadows you fight at random, and I am pretty sure it's limited. I can be wrong here, but I did notice that it drops pretty often after reset, and then it gets like really hard to find any, if you find any at all. There is bound to be someone by now that already did the calculation for this and find out if there is a limit or not. I don't need to go this deep yet, but we will cross this bridge when it's time to do so. After a few real-life days of grind, I decided to see if I could defeat the big shadows from Mementos. First, we fought a Kinki, who makes a random shadow immune to one hit and 2 Nekomatas, with Kinki being weak to Psy. I equipped Janoseki for the defense debuff at combat start and Leonon Ride as the main source of damage. The setup proved to be enough and I won just fine. Reaching the final floor, I find out that it's just one fight with Fuki, Suiki and Kinki having the exact same mechanics as before and a new shadow, Ungyoki, who will absorb the weakness of his fallen comrades and lose a stack of damage reduction as they are killed. Despite the level difference, with the enemies being level 36, I expect the fight to be possible and went in with Leonon and Suzaku. However, once the fight started, I noticed that there would be some luck involved. Closer almost died from one single attack. Focusing Fuiki first because of his weakness, I managed to defeat him. However, with the damage I took piling up and Karu's SP being drained, I was not able to survive long enough despite Wonder is sick evades. Moving on, I decided to take my revenge on the Decarabia from before. He still hits like a truck, but now I can do damage and manage to defeat it. The second Decarabia fight did not went that much different. It have a courageous spirit on his side who will remove his physical weakness and must be dealt with before hitting Decarabia. It took a bit more time to defeat, knocking out Closer, but still being doable. After doing more random activities and being called a potato by a happy person, we reached level 30. I finally progressed the story and sent the calling card to Kyuchi, allowing me to move on with the fight. Checking that the recommended level is 38, I started to get ready for the fight, deciding to see what I could do on the meantime. First, I collect the Phoenix Persona for a better nuke. I collect the other easy to get personas and fuse myself a Principality for Maracuja access. Sounded useful. I decided to do some of the previous fights now that I was on higher level, going back and barely defeating the Yaxini with Nekomatas, which did not set my expectations very high. The second fight I did was Yaxini with Orobus. Here, Yaxini will enhance itself and one party member, with Orobus often cleansing the party members from buffs instead of attacking. And honestly, if it was not for that, I would not have been beating it. But it was funny how Yaxini really kept enraging Closer. Third fight was a Yaxini with an angel. In here, Yaxini will enrage all of the party when reach half her HP and start to counter. I give it a shot focusing on her, however she managed to kill Closer in a single cycle. Trying again, I leveled up a black ruse to deal with it since it was resistant to physical, and decided to try again while focusing down the angel. However, this did not fix the issue that Closer is made of paper and died in one cycle again, piling up the damage. I tried one more time, this time trying to block with Closer so she would at least soak some damage before dying, which did not work at all, she still died. I then moved on to try the next fight, a Yaxini with 2 Inugamis. I leveled up Enzu to deal with the wind weakness and move in, only to watch Closer die yet again, and way too early. I managed to defeat the Inugamis, but I just could not do enough damage to deal with the Yaxini to win. Moving on, I tried the Elgo with the Taunting Barret again. I decided to use a Jack Frost for this fight, and because of this I accidentally find out that I can still AoE on this fight, since Mabufu would still hit everyone despite not showing up with the target. On the next Eligor, he would simply made it so one batter soaked the majority of damage on him while it was still alive. I tried using the usual strategy, but Closer simply could not stay alive. And once she died, I simply could not deal with the damage with only 2 characters. I tried the fight again, hoping it could be just a luck issue, but no. Once Closer dies, the fight is over. At this point, I really wanted to get this over with, so I gave up on trying to defeat the shadows and get the shard for the Zenith dagger. So finally, the moment of truth. I would love to say that Shadow Kyuchi was worth the wait, but honestly, I may have overprepared. With Lianon for debuffing, Principality for Marakukaja, and Phoenix as DPS, I got in the fight expecting low damage and careful use of Kato's highlight. Yet, it was fairly forgiving. First phase have no special mechanic. Kyuchi occasionally used physical strikes on the stage, which was easy to heal, so no need to bother with Marakukaja. Second phase, the heal fight starts, with Shadow Kyuchi turning into Cupid. He'll do 3 moves every action, a high damage physical strike to a single target, either an AoE physical skill or a single target wind attack, and then charge up for the next action, applying a mark to a random party member, repeating every turn. If Kato was the target, I would switch to Principality to heal or buff so I could defend. Kato being targeted was not bad, blocking and also recovering SP, so being able to switch blocks between Wonder and Kato was the best outcome. Luckily, this is exactly what happens. I'm not sure if Closer can even be targeted here, since she was not targeted at all. Third phase is a little annoying. Once you start, he will immediately take action, summoning 2 low health cheerleaders and doing high almighty AoE damage. While the cheerleaders are alive, he will continue to nuke the party. This is where the Phoenix come in hands. The left cheerleader is weak to fire, the right one is weak to thunder, and both being weak to nuke. This phase is no issue as long as we manage to kill the cheerleaders, which I had plenty of DPS to do. Final phase is a victory lap. No mechanics, just drop his HP to 0. I'm not sure how, but Closer, to wrap up the video, managed to die on the final phase. When I saw her falling, I was really expecting the fight to fail since I thought we were supposed to keep her alive. But no, the cutscene played as normal and we managed to finish the palace. With all done and dusted, we watch as the final scene play out. Honestly, this took way longer than I expected. I wanted to do a long video, but I was not prepared for the amount of work I would need to put this through. In retrospect, there are a lot of things I wish I did differently. I could have limited the level according to the recommended level on the menu instead of the after fight scene, which I will likely do in the next video. I only noticed that the level was different in both screens after I reached the level 30 grind, and I was not in the mood of going through the first side quests again. Especially because it's the first heal video I did and I wanted to get it done ASAP to break the inertia. I am not tech savvy. There was a lot of things I needed to learn, a lot of things I needed to do, on top of the usual heal life stuff. That said, I found myself working on this with a surprising passion, not knowing if it even would be seen by 1 or 10 people, let alone liked. Regardless how many watch, I had fun doing this, and honestly, for once, I feel like I have a real hobby and not just playing video games on my free time, even if I am still just doing this. Regardless, I plan to continue to make videos on this little adventure, one palace at a time. I am pretty sure the game is fully beatable under this full set, and once I'm done with this and I feel like people enjoy it, I will consider doing it on other games, or just pick different challenges. For now, thank you very much for watching and take care. Goodbye.
またお前